Welcome to the Numinous Factor, the home of spiritual and metaphysical exploration through the guiding lights of Ronnie May James, medium, and Claudia Ruland, astrologer. Debate and discussion, observation and openness, stimulation and sensitivity to all matters pertaining to our soul. The Numinous Factor.
Welcome everyone to the Numinous Factor. Ronnie and I are here each week to talk about lots of interesting metaphysical subjects. Anything you want to talk about, you just let us know. So we've got some very interesting things to talk about this week. But first and foremost, we just had Valentine's Day. Did you do anything special, Ronnie, for Valentine's Day?
I did. We went and had a nice meal up in a Red Hill on the Mornington Peninsula, and it was a very nice location looking out over Port Phillip Bay. And I think we had a nice time. We seemed to be the only couple there that was laughing. I reckon loads of people were there on their first date being all serious and trying to look sexy.
Oh, God, yeah, that'll die off soon enough.
That sounds really disappointing.
What's when the box of chocolates comes out? That's when you know who you really are.
Yeah, just drop your pants, now I'm giving you the chocolate.
That's it. Well, I thought before we get into today's show, seeing as it was Valentine's Day, a few fun facts. How's that sound?
Oh, lovely.
Apparently, in the 3rd century, Emperor Claudius II, no relation, executed 2 men, both named Valentine, on February 14. It's kind of a nasty coincidence. Claudius didn't want Roman men to marry during wartime, but the heart wants what it wants, so Bishop Valentine went against his wishes and performed secret marriage ceremonies. For this, Valentine was eventually executed and thus became a saint. Oh. Didn't see that one coming, did he?
No, I just got that. Actually, I got... No, obviously not. But I just got that. So he didn't want people to get married during wartime. You know why? Because they would have been doing it. And if that's right. It would have taken their energy and distracted them.
He just wanted them all about aggression and going and conquering the enemies. He didn't want them thinking about, boxes of chocolates and what glass of wine it's going to go with that steak and, going home and stopping the wife.
Yeah, but would they have had chocolates in those days?
I have no idea. I'm being silly. Oh, God.
Oh,
in the middle of February and the official start of their springtime, the Romans held a festival called Lupercalia, which was a pagan festival of fertility dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture. Mm. In Finland, Valentine's Day is interpreted as Friends Day, or Friends with Benefits Day.
Yeah.
In 1537, King Henry VII officially declared February 14th the holiday of St. Valentine. Cadbury's created the first Love Heart box of chocolates in the late 1800s. There's a little plug there for Cadbury's.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, Cadbury's, you can send them to us when we just explain what you're about.
Absolutely. And upwards of 35 million of these sweet treats are sold each year. The little boxes of Love Heart chocolates. Oh, wow, I didn't get any.
Oh, that says it all.
God. Teachers received the most Valentine Day cards out of anybody. I thought, oh, there you go. That says something.
Oh, little primary schoolers, maybe not the secondary lot.
Yeah, that kind of changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And finally, every Valentine's Day, now this is weird, the Italian city of Verona, where Shakespeare lovers Romeo and Juliet lived, received about 1,000 letters addressed to Juliet.
Oh, that's nice.
Never heard of that. That is so weird.
Wonder what they say in the letters.
I don't know. I might have to Google that a bit more and
health and safety.
See if I can find something.
Don't fall out of your balcony. They should have put a label on that drink.
That's it, exactly. Or just be wary of who your family are and make sure they're not already fighting. On with the show. Last week we discussed the origins and myths of the lost civilization of Atlantis, and the potential connection to the rhesus negative blood type. We touched on the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce and his method of self-hypnosis or deep trance to access the Akashic records, or the book of knowledge, I think it's referred to in the Bible. So what is hypnosis and how is it applied to the trance state? How is Edgar Cayce able to access the Akashic records to source homeopathic remedies for his clients? On today's episode, Ronnie and I are going to discuss hypnosis and attempt to answer some of these questions. Now, some of our listeners may not be aware, but my partner in crime, the gorgeous Ronnie Mae James, is, amongst many other things, a trained hypnotherapist. Ronnie will be enlightening us on what hypnosis is and how it can be a miraculous tool on so many levels, whether you're wanting to address a debilitating phobia, unlock behavioral issues that may be locked away in your unconscious mind, or even discover who you were in a past life. So over to you, Ronnie.
Oh, thanks very much. So hypnosis, let's get rid of some of the scary bits that people don't like, or the fallacies around hypnosis. You can't be turned into a chicken if you don't want to be. So in other words, stage hypnosis where you see people doing horrendous things, they've given that hypnotist the permission to do whatever. And you cannot do anything that's against your sort of like moral will, anything that you wouldn't normally do, you can't be made to do that. You're awake during the session, so nothing can be done to you whilst you're in a trance. The worst thing that can happen is nothing. And you should have a minimum of 3 sessions. It doesn't always just happen with one for hypnosis to be successful and permanent. And you cannot guarantee something for a lifetime, so you may need a top-up. So say you've gone, to have hypnosis for smoking. Well, you could well be going back for a top-up because you've got that urge again. So that's not an uncommon thing. So it's always good to go back for a recharge. And once you've had hypnosis, the practitioner can't control your mind. So, once they've hypnotised you, doesn't mean they can go back and get you to unlock Grandma's safe in the bottom of the garden. And people that are susceptible to hypnosis, they're called somnambulists. So everyone can be hypnotised. I know Claudia may say something different, but you can't be hypnotised against your will. And the other most important thing that a lot of people think about is if you have a secret that you don't want anybody to know, we cannot detach the ego. So in other words, we can't get you to tell us where you've buried the crown jewels somewhere in somebody else's property and not your own. So going back to hypnosis, what is it? How do we do it? So it's a state of consciousness where there's no peripheral awareness. So you're going to be in a reclined chair, you're going to have your eyes shut, and you're going to be concentrating on what the hypnotist has got to say to you. So it's, you respond to the suggestion, for example, to stop smoking. And I've mentioned before that this is the trance state, or the theta state, which allows the conscious to step back and awaken the subconscious. So that's what really we're talking to. And the term, this term means to sleep, or the suffix before the, hypnotherapy or hypnotist, the hypno, that word means to go to sleep. So can't even say it now, hypnosis and hypnotism were first coined by a Frenchman called Etienne Félix Dehaene, I can't even say it now, Dehaene de Cuveliers.
Challenge of the day.
Yeah, it is. I'm never good at stuff like that. So de Cuveliers was the one who actually created the whole realm of hypnosis. But originally, around about 1841, there was a Scottish surgeon whose name was James Braid. I'd 8 James. And he first popularised and was the creator. He first popularised the use of hypnotherapy or hypnosis in surgery. And in those days, there were very few painkillers around or any sort of pain control. So he would have used hypnosis to perform surgery on people. And the creator of these terms came from de Cuvier, who was also a practitioner of mesmerism, which sort of arrived around 1820. And it was a practice where you use the powerful use of your eyes to mesmerize people, and you could place them into a trance. So so give you an example, mesmerists could stand on one side of the street and stare at an individual to the point that within a few seconds they'd fall to the ground.
Really?
Yeah, really, really powerful.
That's bizarre.
And also, where you coined the term, which I know Little Britain used to do, look into my eyes, in a minute you'll see nothing but me. Or 2, 3, 1, you're back in the room. So the look into my eyes was very much born on the premise of the mesmerism. And with the watch, looking at the watch was purely about sort of getting your...
focus.
Yes, that's it, your focus. Yeah. Thanks, Claudia. I might be hypnotised trying to talk about it. So, yeah, it would get your focus and would allow you to relax so that when they started to talk to you, you would obviously listen and follow the instructions. So, it's been developed since then, and it's been used in psychology. And as you know, the great Sigmund Freud believed in the power of the mind, and he referred to it. But it wasn't until Milton Erickson used it as a form of hypnosis in his treatment, which I think is very, very clever. Modern day hypnosis is based on this premise. However, the power of suggestion and relaxation, which allows the subconscious to be persuaded, it's the hypnotic induction that will differ per hypnotist or whoever or whatever subject it is that you want to cover, or you want to be cured or your addiction. So if you have an addiction to chocolate, you don't just wait for Valentine's Day, then you may be cured of that. So really, stage one, after you've had the relaxation, which may take up to about 20, sometimes 30 minutes, they do the induction, which is getting you to go into a trance and fall asleep. So that absorbs all of your attention. And then by doing that, they bypass the conscious and talk to the unconscious. So they, what they call the critical faculty. So that's the peripheral awareness. You're not distracted by anything. And it activates the unconscious response. So that's where they get to talk to the subconscious about changing behaviours or thought patterns. The neural pathways, new neural pathways are created, so that when you come out of that trance, you may not notice the change right away, but you will definitely notice a difference in the way you reacted to something or someone, or maybe not eaten or done something that you have asked to be cured of in the next few weeks. You'll suddenly think, oh my God, I didn't react to that, or I didn't eat that, or I changed my behaviour to that. And that will be the subtle influence of hypnosis. So we talk about stage hypnosis. You ever been hypnotised on stage, Claudia?
No. They have attempted to hypnotise me a few times, but failed miserably. I was asked to leave. I got the tap on the shoulder.
Oh, did you?
I got the tap and said, no, off you go.
Well, so you didn't start performing like a chicken?
But no, I'm not doing that. I thought, you guys can't hypnotise me.
Yeah, because there are a few people that are reckoned after something like that, they can sue the hypnotist. What was he called?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Darren, what's his name?
Hinch?
No, it'll come to me. Hinchman. Yeah, well, there are some famous hypnotists out there. Well, maybe I shouldn't mention their name, but there have been respondents or recipients of this hypnosis have then claimed that they've suffered from, insomnia or some form of depression.
And you'd have to prove it.
Yeah, and then that's not actually true. I mean, I did say earlier that the worst thing that can happen is nothing. It really cannot damage you in any way.
Yeah.
So it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's rubbish. Oh, sorry. Perhaps it is. It doesn't work. Yeah. So, people don't want to... People put their hand up if they want to be hypnotised, on stage and do something stupid. But that's because they've accepted the invitation to do it.
Yeah, the entertainment.
It's not something they're doing against their will.
Yeah.
Can you hear my tummy grumbling?
Would you like a cookie?
It's not your dog, it's me. It's In previous episodes, the dog's been snoring.
You were not hungry.
Yeah, that was my belly grumbling. So for, alternative therapy,